In this video, I'll show you how I apply water slide transfers. Hi everyone, and welcome to another brushstroke painting guide, where this time I wanted to take a quick look at the best way of applying decals and transfers to your models. So decals and transfers are meant to be a quick and easy way of adding markings and symbols to your models without that difficult hand painting step. But so often they can be far from easy. They can wrinkle, crease and refuse to sit smoothly on the model, and then when you do finally get them stuck on, they can just look obvious and out of place. So is there a way to apply them so that they sit clean and smooth and have that painted on feel? Well, yes, and that's what I'm going to show you in this video. But before I begin, I want to say a massive welcome to all of the new subscribers to my channel. There's been a bit of a surge lately and you are all very welcome. I'm grateful for your support, as I am of all the subscribers that have been following me up until this point. If you happen to be watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, then please hit that button now, and don't forget the notification bell to be told whenever I post a new video. Okay then, let's take a look at how to apply a transfer. Now, for the purpose of this video, I've just quickly painted up this Space Marine shoulder pad, and the transfer I'm going to be looking to apply is going to be the Ultramarines chapter symbol, because I thought it was quite a good example of a surface that curves in different directions, and it's quite a large transfer, so it should be a good example. To attach my transfer, I'm going to use two products from Microscale Industries. The first one is Microset, which is to position and attach, and then I'm going to use MicroSol, which is a softener and gives that painted feel. But before we get to those, we're going to need our transfer, and the symbol that I'm going to use is just going to be this one on the end here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my craft knife and I'm going to carefully cut around the symbol I want, keeping some of the backing paper behind it and making sure that I don't cut into the transfer itself. Okay, so now we've got our transfer. What we need to do is find a way of getting it off its backing paper, and the way to do that is to apply some water. So I'm going to take some folded tissue, just pop my transfer on the top there, and now I'm going to saturate it in water and allow that to soak into the backing paper so that the decal starts to slide off the top. Now I'm going to leave the transfer for a moment or two just to let that backing paper really saturate with the water. So while that's happening, I'm going to prepare the shoulder pad so that it's ready for the transfer to be applied. Which means it's time for us to use the first of the two fixing products, Microset. Now if you're anything like me and you keep forgetting which way around you're meant to use these two products, they are actually numbered, so this is MI1, and obviously that means you're going to use that one first. Quick shake then, and we're going to use this neat straight from the bottle. So you need to take a clean brush, and then we're going to get that loaded up so that we've got a fair amount on that brush. And then what I like to do is I like to cover the surface completely, not just the area where the decal is going to go, but all the way to the edges, so that when it dries there's no danger of having any watermarks or tide marks where that's been left. So just give it a good coverage all over the surface so that it is completely saturated. Okay, with that Microset still wet, I'm now going to bring back in the transfer sheet, and because it's now completely saturated, you can find that the transfer will slide off the backing paper. I was going to use my brush just to get underneath it so I can lift it from the backing paper and then move it across onto the model and place it where I need it to go. So because the surface is covered with that Microset, the transfer will sit on top of that, and it will allow you to slide and position the transfer where you want it to go. So just using your brush, just move that around. What you'll also find is that the transfer will try to just naturally wrap into the shape of the surface underneath. Let it do it, but don't try and push down at this point, because it's in later stages that we're going to get it to form to the surface. Once you're happy with the positioning, then let the Microset dry completely before going on to the next stage. Don't be tempted to dry it with a hairdryer, just let it dry naturally. Right then, so now that Microset is now fully dry, the transfer is sitting where we want, but it's still not obviously conformed to the shape of the shoulder pad yet. So this is where we're going to use our second product, which is MicroSol. Now don't forget it's got that number 2 there, so you remember which order to do it in. Again, I'm just going to use the same brush, and I'm going to use it straight from the pot, and we're going to apply it all over the transfer. Okay, just making sure I get a good loading on the brush here. I want to make sure I apply a fair amount onto the transfer for this first application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this all over the transfer, and I'm going to work from the middle of the transfer out, and I'm going to apply a little pressure, not too much, because I don't want to disturb the transfer itself, but I just want to help persuade out any maybe trapped bubbles that we might have of air pockets underneath the transfer. And I'm going to cover all of the surface again to the edge of the shoulder pad so that I don't get any watermarks. And what MicroSol does is it's actually a softener, and what it's going to do is it's going to soften the clear plastic that actually makes up the transfer so that it reduces down in size and shrinks to fit the shape of the model underneath, and it'll also reduce its profile so that you won't see any edges. Okay, so that's a really good covering over all of the transfer there. Now I'm just going to get a little bit of tissue just to mop up the excess out of those corners to help it dry a little bit quicker, and then you just leave it to one side until it's completely dry, and then moving on to the next step. Right, so that's completely dry now, and it's already shrunk down quite a bit, and it's fitting a lot better onto the shoulder pad now, but it's still not quite right, and I can still see those edges, so I'm just going to apply a second coat of MicroSol all over as we did before. It's really just a case now of repeating this process until you get to a painted on finish that you're happy with. One thing to be aware of though is with every application you are thinning down that plastic layer, and you will reach a point where you will just start to damage the transfer. So do be mindful and do be careful when moving the brush over the top so that you don't damage that transfer. Okay, so that second coat's now dry and it's fully conformed to the shape of the shoulder pad underneath, so I'm really happy, but I can still see those edges, and I feel if I just left it now I'd see those grooves where the edges were, so I'm going to apply one final coat I think just to thin that down so that they're almost invisible. Okay, so I think that's about right, so I'm just going to leave that now to dry, and then I'll come back and show you how to do the final step. Okay, so it's nice and smooth and those edges are thin, but you can still see some shininess around the edges of the transfer, and to get rid of that you need to apply a coat of matte varnish. I like to use Tester's Dull Coat, but if you wanted to you could even just brush over with some Lamy Medium and that would take away the shine too. And with the varnish applied, the transfer is now complete. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, then please do click that like button and drop a comment below. If you'd like to see more of these videos, then please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to be told whenever I post another video. So thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.